Welcome to TERAFLORA Studio, a place where gardens and imagination meet. Close your eyes for a moment and picture yourself walking into a quiet backyard at dawn. The air is fresh, the earth is soft beneath your feet, and every corner seems to whisper stories of transformation. Here, discarded objects are not waste, but seeds of new beginnings. A broken pot becomes a river of succulents. A row of empty bottles turns into a wall of glowing emerald, and weathered wood is reborn as a frame for cascading flowers. Each creation is simple, each one is human, and all of them remind us that beauty is often waiting in what we choose to overlook. In this video, we will share ideas that feel both poetic and practical. You will hear stories designed to calm the mind and inspire the hands, stories that show how ordinary scraps can shape extraordinary corners of your home. It is not about perfection or luxury. It is about warmth, patience, and the joy of crafting something with your own touch. We want to be transparent with you. This content is carefully composed with the help of AI, a tool that allows us to weave ideas, narration, and imagery into one flowing experience. It is meant to guide, not replace your own creativity. Your vision and your effort are what make these designs truly come alive. If you find comfort and inspiration here, we invite you to walk with us further. Subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio and let every new idea arrive at your door like the turning of a season. May each story help you pause, breathe, and see the potential in your own garden of possibilities. There is something quietly magical about taking an object that once seemed forgotten and giving it a second life. Imagine walking into your garden and seeing a humble metal drum, no longer rusting in a corner, but standing proudly as a mirror pool of water. Its surface is dark, almost black, catching the entire sky as if your backyard had stolen a piece of heaven. When clouds drift above, they pause inside the water's reflection, turning an ordinary garden into a stage for the sky. Around the rim, ivy climbs slowly, curling into shapes that feel like a laurel crown. The green softens the harshness of metal, teaching us that even cold steel can look regal when nature wraps around it. As water slides gently over the edge, it does not roar or shout. It whispers. Each droplet glitters like silver before vanishing into the stones below. You don't just see water, you feel time slowing down. The beauty of this fountain is not only in how it looks, but also in how simple it is to create. A discarded drum can be sealed and painted, lined inside with a dark finish to create that mirror effect. A small pump recycles the water, keeping the sound soft and soothing. Place ivy or creeping plants nearby, and within weeks the roughness fades, leaving a corner that feels timeless. At night, add a lantern or two, and the drum begins to glow as if the stars themselves had chosen to rest inside it. This project reminds us that luxury is not always bought. It can be built. You don't need marble or imported stone to have a water feature that feels poetic. What you need is imagination and a willingness to see beauty where others see waste. And perhaps that is the heart of DIY garden design. Learning to read potential in the overlooked. When you stand beside this fountain, you will see more than water and ivy. You will see your own reflection, your effort, your creativity mingling with sky and leaf. It whispers back to you, nothing is ever truly discarded. Everything can be transformed into something beautiful. Sometimes beauty is found not in perfection, but in fragments that tell a story. Imagine walking through your garden and discovering the remains of a statue. Its face softened by time, its body fractured, resting among ivy and moss. At first glance, it might seem broken beyond repair. But as twilight falls, small niches carved into the stone come alive with the glow of candles. Suddenly, what once looked like ruin becomes a stage of quiet magic. The flicker of each flame paints gentle arcs of light across the surface, filling the cracks with warmth rather than sorrow. By day, the statue whispers of ancient courtyards and forgotten villas, the kind you might stumble upon in a Tuscan ruin. By night, the candles transform it into something alive, almost breathing. The shadows dance, and the air feels charged with history. It becomes less an ornament and more a companion to memory. This transformation is surprisingly accessible. A damaged statue, or even a garden ornament that has lost its original charm, can be repurposed. Carve or drill shallow niches into the surface where small candles or LED tea lights can sit safely. Surround the base with creeping ivy or moss, which will soften the edges and bring a sense of age. You don't need flawless marble. Even cement or plaster carries dignity when given light to hold. The result is not just decoration, but atmosphere. When you sit nearby, the hush of evening seems deeper. The brokenness becomes part of the beauty, reminding you that imperfection can be luminous. In many ways, this project is more than a design, it is a meditation. It teaches us to embrace the fragments, to see history in cracks and possibility in ruin. Adding such a feature in your garden also creates a personal ritual. Lighting candles each evening turns into a moment of pause, a chance to breathe and let the day slip away. Guests will pause too, drawn by the mystery of soft light cradled in stone. They may ask about its history, and you can smile, knowing that you built it from something others might have thrown away. A ruin becomes a beacon, and your garden a keeper of quiet stories. There are moments in a garden when sunlight stops being ordinary. Imagine a wall not of brick or stone, but of glass. Rows of emerald bottles aligned like jewels, each one glowing as the day passes. When morning light pours through, it feels as if the bottles are holding fragments of the sun itself, turning plain air into liquid color. By evening, when a lantern is lit behind the wall, the glow softens into a shimmer that feels almost like moonlight caught in green leaves. This design begins in the simplest way, with bottles that many people throw away. Empty wine bottles, olive oil bottles, even soda glass. All can be collected and arranged into wooden racks or framed with reclaimed timber. Their transparency becomes their strength. A single bottle is nothing more than glass, but dozens together create a mosaic, a vineyard wall reborn, carrying whispers of harvests and laughter that once filled them. The charm of this idea lies in its dual nature. It is at once structure and art. The wall can define a boundary in your garden, offering privacy while still letting light flow through. Yet it also becomes a beacon, drawing the eye every time the sun shifts. Children may stop to watch the play of colors on the ground, while guests linger, touched by the unexpected poetry of discarded bottles turned into a glowing tapestry. Building it is a task within reach for any DIY enthusiast. Collect bottles in similar shades for harmony, or mix colors for a more playful effect. A simple wooden frame holds them in place. The process itself becomes part of the joy, cleaning, sorting, and arranging until the bottles find their rhythm. And when you step back at last, you realize you haven't just built a wall. You've built a memory stitched with glass and light. Perhaps what makes this project special is how it teaches us to look differently at waste. Where others see emptiness, you see potential. Where others see clutter, you see radiance waiting to be released. In your garden, the emerald bottle wall becomes more than decor. It becomes a reminder that beauty is not always bought. Sometimes, it is rescued, reshaped, and born anew in the glow of an ordinary afternoon. In every garden, there are pieces that seem to have reached their end. A terracotta pot, cracked and broken, is often the first to be thrown away. Yet, in the quiet hands of creativity, even shards can be coaxed into a new story. Imagine gathering those fragments, tilting and stacking them so they lean into one another, not as waste, but as the shape of a waterfall frozen in time. From the top, succulents spill downward, their fleshy greens and silvers mimicking the motion of water, cascading with patience instead of speed. This design feels alive even in its stillness. Sunlight dances across the clay edges, highlighting every jagged line as if time itself had etched a sculpture. Small polished stones can be added to the flow, glinting like ripples caught midstream. In the evening, place a lantern at the base and the cascade turns to fire, glowing softly as if water had been replaced by light. It is both a fountain and a sculpture, yet requires neither pump nor plumbing, only imagination. The beauty of this project lies in its accessibility. Anyone with a few broken pots can create it. Begin by choosing a spot in the garden where the ground slopes gently or where you can lean the cascade against a bed of soil. Anchor the largest shard at the base for stability. Then tilt smaller pieces above it, letting each one overlap slightly to form a natural flow. Nestle succulents, like echeveria, jade, or string of pearls, into the openings. Their resilience ensures they thrive in the shallow soil that clings to the shards. Over time, moss may creep into the cracks, softening the lines and making the cascade look as though it had always been part of the earth. What makes this feature unforgettable is the way it blurs the line between brokenness and beauty. Guests may pause, surprised to see plants flowing as if they were water, surprised again when they learn it was made from discarded pots. Teaches us that nothing ends, it only changes shape. That fracture can become form. And as you sit nearby, you may find yourself staring longer than you planned, tracing the frozen river of clay and leaf, hearing in its silence the quiet song of resilience. A reminder, whispered through terracotta and succulent, that beauty is not found in perfection, but in the courage to begin again. Sometimes the most powerful transformations are the simplest. Picture a shallow pool in the center of a garden, not grand in size, not framed with expensive stone, but made from a humble trough or discarded basin. Its edges are hidden, creating the illusion that the water stretches endlessly. When you look down, you don't see a container. You see the sky itself resting quietly in your backyard. Lavender bends over the rim, its purple blooms reflected twice. Once in the air, once in the pool, doubling its beauty. The charm of an infinity pool lies in the way it erases boundaries. Water seems to merge with sky, flowers seem to bloom twice, and light seems to multiply. Every ripple becomes an artwork, catching sunlight like a constellation scattered across the surface. Even the smallest leaf drifting across feels significant, as though the garden has paused to paint a still life in water. Creating this illusion is not as daunting as it sounds. Begin with a low basin, metal, stone, or even sturdy plastic that can be painted dark inside. Sink it slightly into the soil and cover the edges with stones, moss, or creeping plants. The key is concealment. When the rim disappears, the water feels limitless. Add just enough depth for reflections, but keep it shallow so the mirror effect stays crisp. A small lantern placed at night turns the surface golden, as though the garden were holding a sun that never sets. This project teaches us something about perspective. The pool itself is modest, but what it reflects is infinite. Guests who wander near will lean in, drawn not by the pool's size, but by its depth of illusion. They will see themselves mingled with sky and flower, realizing that sometimes the smallest features carry the greatest poetry. And for you, the maker, it becomes a quiet place to pause. To stand over it is to be reminded that beauty does not depend on scale, it depends on vision. The mini infinity pool is proof that elegance can be handmade. It doesn't roar like a fountain or blaze like lanterns. Instead, it whispers, drawing your eyes downward, then upward again, teaching you to notice the symmetry between earth and sky. It is not just a garden feature, it is a moment of stillness turned into form. Beneath our feet lies a canvas often overlooked. Imagine walking through a garden and instead of plain gravel or soil, the ground blooms with a sunburst made of broken tiles. Reds, blues, creams, and terracotta fragments radiate outward in a spiral of light and color. Each shard once belonged to something ordinary. A bathroom wall, a kitchen counter, a chipped plate, but together they form a pattern that feels timeless, as if the earth itself were wearing jewelry. The magic of a mosaic path lies in its ability to transform what is discarded into something radiant. When the morning dew clings to the glossy edges, the whole design seems freshly painted by the day. At midday, sunlight skips across the fragments, tracing patterns like fire. And by evening, shadows soften the colors into a muted fresco, a reminder that beauty changes with each hour. Walking upon it becomes more than movement. It becomes an experience, a dialogue between step and stone. The process is patient but deeply rewarding. Collect broken tiles, ceramics, or old pottery, cleaning each piece so its true color shows. Sketch a simple sunburst on the soil or foundation as your guide. Then lay the shards one by one, fitting edges not perfectly but thoughtfully, allowing irregular shapes to contribute to the whole. Mortar or cement anchors them, creating a surface that is both strong and storied. Each piece carries its history into the design, whispering of past rooms and past lives now reborn in the garden. What makes this path inspiring is its accessibility. You don't need to be an artist to create it. The pattern reveals itself as you work, and imperfections only add character. Guests who visit will pause, drawn by the unexpected beauty beneath their feet. Children may follow the spirals like a game, while adults trace the lines, surprised at how fragments of waste can hold such elegance. And for you, the maker, the path becomes personal. Every step you take on it is a reminder that brokenness can be rearranged into harmony, that what is fractured can still radiate. The sunburst beneath your feet is more than decoration. It is a philosophy etched in clay and stone, a quiet lesson written on the ground. Beauty does not vanish when something breaks. It only waits for someone to see the pattern still hidden inside. There is a kind of magic in sitting beneath a canopy of flowers. Imagine stepping into your garden and finding a pergola, not built from expensive timber, but from discarded pallets, once rough, splintered, and forgotten. Now whitewashed, their surfaces glow softly in the sun, turning the structure into a frame of quiet elegance. Above, bougainvillea cascades in a wave of magenta, its blooms glowing like stained glass whenever light filters through. Each petal that drifts downward is a note in a melody only the garden can play. The beauty of this pergola lies not only in its appearance, but in its transformation. Pallets, usually destined for landfill or firewood, are reborn here as beams of a shelter. Their imperfections remain, yet softened by paint and crowned with blossoms, they feel almost regal. To sit beneath them is to step into another rhythm. The world narrows to color, fragrance, and the gentle sway of vines in the breeze. Time slows, conversations soften, even silence feels alive. Creating this structure is simpler than it looks. With basic tools, pallets can be cleaned, sanded, and fastened together into vertical posts and horizontal beams. A coat of white paint or lime wash lifts their rustic character, making them blend with both greenery and bloom. Once the frame is secure, bougainvillea or any climbing plant does the rest. In time, vines wrap the beams, weaving their story of growth until the pergola is no longer wood and nail, but leaf and flower. Maintenance is minimal, yet the effect grows richer each season. What makes this idea so appealing is its dual role. It is both functional and poetic. It offers shade, a resting place, a gathering corner, but it is also a stage for beauty, where sunlight filters through blossoms and evening lanterns turn petals into floating stars. Guests will pause beneath it, reluctant to leave, sensing that something simple has become sacred. And you, each time you sit there, will be reminded of the gift of renewal, that even the humblest wood can become a threshold to serenity. The pallet pergola with bougainvillea canopy is not merely a garden project. It is a lesson written in beams and petals, that beauty often begins where we choose to see possibility instead of waste. Under its shelter, you will find not just shade, but moments worth keeping. In every garden, there should be a structure that draws the eyes upward, something that bridges earth and sky. Imagine standing before a tall obelisk trellis, its frame built from rebar. Metal once forgotten in construction yards, now rising with quiet dignity. Painted matte black, the lines are stark, geometric, almost austere. But as vines begin their patient climb, ivy, jasmine, or climbing roses, the hardness softens, steel weaving itself into lace made of leaf and blossom. By day, sunlight spills through the gaps, casting star-shaped shadows across the ground. It is as if the trellis has become a sundial, marking time not with numbers but with patterns of light. By night, lanterns placed at the base send a warm glow upward, igniting the metal frame in gold and fire. The structure feels both ancient and modern, a sentinel guarding the garden, while teaching us that strength and delicacy can coexist. The beauty of this project lies in its simplicity. Rebar is inexpensive, sturdy, and easy to shape. With a few rods bound together at the top and anchored at the base, the frame is born. Its form can be triangular, square, or hexagonal, but always tapering toward the sky. Painted black, it gains elegance. Left raw, it tells a story of weather and rust. Either way, it becomes a canvas for nature to write upon. As months pass, tendrils curl around the bars, flowers spill over, and the obelisk transforms into living sculpture. What makes this feature powerful is its symbolism. Points upward, reminding us to grow, to reach, to aspire. Guests who see it may pause, struck by how something so industrial has become so graceful. Children may circle it, tracing the vines as they spiral. And you, standing near, may feel a lift inside, as though the garden itself is urging you higher. In a world where so much is fleeting, a rebar obelisk trellis offers permanence. It is strong enough to last for years, yet gentle enough to cradle the most delicate blooms. It does not merely support plants, it elevates them. And in doing so, it elevates the space around it. The obelisk is proof that even the humblest scraps of metal can become a monument, not to power, but to patience, growth, and quiet wonder. As daylight fades, the garden takes on another rhythm. Imagine stepping onto a path where light itself seems to rise from the ground. Along the walkway, rows of glass jars glow softly, each one carrying a small flame. The jars are simple, once containers of preserves, jams, or forgotten goods, but now they guide your steps like a colonnade of stars fallen gently to earth. Their glow is golden, intimate, and scaled to the human touch, offering both direction and wonder. The magic of these mason jar lanterns is their ability to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. By day, the jars sit quietly, waiting. They catch a bit of sunlight, sparkling faintly like crystal fragments among the gravel. But when evening comes and candles are lit, they awaken. Shadows stretch across the path, weaving patterns between leaf and flame, as if the garden itself had decided to breathe in a softer cadence. The atmosphere becomes both elegant and personal, recalling the grandeur of ancient avenues but scaled to the comfort of a backyard. Creating this walkway is as simple as it is rewarding. Clean, recycled jars, ensuring their glass shines clearly. Place a tea light or small candle inside each, securing them with a pinch of sand or pebbles at the base. Arrange them along both sides of your path at equal intervals, creating a rhythm of light that feels natural and inviting. For safety or convenience, battery-powered LED candles can replace real flames without losing the charm. As the evening deepens, the jars glow brighter, reflecting not only light but also care and thoughtfulness. What makes this feature special is the ritual it creates. Lighting the jars at dusk becomes a moment of pause, a way to mark the transition between day and night. Guests will feel welcomed instantly, their steps guided by warmth instead of harsh bulbs. Children may stop to peer into the jars, mesmerized by the small flickering fires. Even the most ordinary path becomes a journey, not just from one point to another, but into a space of calm and enchantment. The mason jar lantern walkway is more than decor. It is hospitality made visible. It whispers to everyone who enters. This is a place of care, a place where simple things are honored. And in the quiet glow of glass and flame, your garden learns to speak the language of light. At the threshold of a garden, there should be something that feels like an invitation. Imagine walking toward an entrance framed not by plain wood or iron, but by a wagon wheel, once part of journeys long past, now reborn as a gate that whispers of history and welcome. Its spokes radiate outward like a sun, touched with hints of gold that catch the light. Ivy winds itself around the rim, weaving age and renewal together into a single circle of beauty. By day, the wheel glows softly, its golden details shining like sunlight caught in wood. The gate does not shout. It simply stands, steady and patient, inviting you to cross from the ordinary into a quieter rhythm. By night, when a lantern burns at its base, the spokes cast gentle shadows across gravel, creating patterns that move with the breeze. It is both functional and symbolic, a passage, a pause, a reminder that every garden is a story waiting to be entered. This design begins with the simplest of objects, an old wagon wheel, often left to decay in barns or fields. With a little care, sanding, sealing, and adding subtle accents, it transforms into a piece of art. Mounted as part of a gate or even as a standalone archway, it immediately sets the tone for the space beyond. The gold can be painted with a light hand, highlighting the spokes without overwhelming their rustic charm. The rest is left to nature. Vines, roses, or ivy will embrace the wheel in time, weaving life into its structure. The beauty of this feature lies in its symbolism. To step through a wagon wheel gate is to cross into a place where time slows. Guests will pause, perhaps touching the rim, sensing the journeys it once carried. Children may run their fingers along the spokes, curious about its shape. And you, each time you pass, will feel the subtle shift it creates, a transition from daily noise into the quiet embrace of your garden. It reminds us that not all gates are barriers. Some are invitations. Some hold memory and possibility in their curves. And in a garden, where everything is about transformation, a rustic wagon wheel gate is the perfect beginning to every walk within. A circle of history, sunlight, and welcome that turns each entry into a small ceremony of arrival. Every garden deserves a threshold, a moment of crossing where the outside world fades and something more intimate begins. Imagine approaching an arch not of marble or stone, but of reclaimed timber. Each beam carries scars of its former life. Scratches, weathered grain, not smoothed by time. Yet when shaped into a Roman curve and crowned with a simple keystone, these humble pieces of wood take on quiet majesty. To walk beneath it is to step into a sanctuary, where the garden feels less like earth and more like memory. The arch transforms with light. In the morning, sunshine pours across its curve, the keystone glowing like a crown. By afternoon, ivy clings to its sides, softening the lines with green lace. And at night, a lantern hung at its center makes the whole structure glow, as if the garden itself has opened a door into another time. It is simple in form, yet rich in presence, both gateway and guardian. Creating this arch is within reach of any patient hand. Old timber, salvaged from barns, pallets, or discarded beams, becomes the building blocks. The wood can be lime-washed or left raw, depending on the tone you wish your garden to carry. The keystone, though humble, is essential. It anchors the eye and the structure alike, reminding us that even the smallest piece can hold everything together. Anchoring the posts securely into soil or stone ensures that the arch endures, not just for seasons but for years. The beauty of this design lies not only in its structure but in its symbolism. Arches have always represented passage, into safety, into celebration, into belonging. Guests who cross beneath it will feel the subtle shift, that they have left one space and entered another. Children may race through it without pause, yet still sense the excitement of a boundary crossed. And you, each time you pass, will feel its weight and grace, a reminder that thresholds are not just practical but spiritual. A reclaimed timber Roman arch does more than decorate. It teaches us that history can be held in our hands, reshaped, and honored anew. It shows us that even discarded wood can frame beauty, and that every entrance can be a moment of ceremony. To build it is to create not just structure but invitation, a welcome carved in timber, standing timeless in your garden. Not every treasure begins as treasure. Sometimes it begins as something utterly ordinary. A paint can, dented and splattered, destined for the bin. Yet with a little imagination, Even this humble object can be transformed into elegance. Picture a row of paint cans lined on a garden path, their rough metal coated with a skim of cement and brushed with delicate gray veins. Suddenly, they no longer look like tools of labor, but like miniature marble columns, timeless and stately. Inside, lavender and rosemary spill upward, softening their austerity with fragrance and bloom. By day, sunlight glances across their smooth surfaces, the faux marble finish glowing as though polished by centuries. By evening, lantern light catches their curves, making them gleam golden against the deepening shadows. They look as if they had always belonged in a villa courtyard, though their truth is simpler. They are rescued, reshaped, reborn. The process is not complicated. Clean the cans thoroughly, removing labels and rust. Apply a thin layer of cement or plaster, smoothing it with patience. Once dry, use a fine brush to paint subtle gray veins, mimicking the randomness of natural stone. A sealant protects the finish, ensuring it withstands weather and watering. The result is astonishing. What was once discarded now masquerades as luxury. Each planter is not just a container, but a statement. Beauty does not demand cost, only care. What makes these planters special is the contrast they embody. At their core, they are industrial, utilitarian, marked by work. Yet on their surface, they carry dignity, refinement, even grandeur. Guests may be surprised when they learn the truth, leaning closer to see the texture, perhaps running a hand along the veins. Children may peek inside, marveling that flowers could rise from something so ordinary. And you, as the maker, will smile each time you see them, not only at their beauty, but at the transformation they represent. Because beyond aesthetics, these planters remind us of a larger truth, that elegance can emerge from the overlooked, that what we throw away may hold the seed of something remarkable. Each time you walk past them, you are reminded that the line between ruin and refinement is thin, and that, with vision, even a paint can hold not just soil, but possibility. Water has a way of stitching silence and sound together. Imagine a row of terracotta jars, arranged like steps, each one tilted just enough for water to spill gently into the one below. From the highest jar, a small stream begins, trickling downward in rhythm, pausing at each vessel before moving on. The terrace hums with a quiet melody, a song made not by instruments, but by clay and water and patience. Each jar is weathered, its surface glowing warmly in the sun. Moss creeps along the edges, softening the clay, while ivy curls gently at the base. By day, the water glistens like threads of silver, cooling the air around it. By dusk, lanterns placed nearby turn the streams into ribbons of gold, glowing as if the jars themselves were spilling light. It is a feature that feels alive, though it asks for no grandeur, only space and care. Creating a terracotta water terrace is within the reach of any DIY gardener. Old jars or clay pots, even those chipped or worn, can be stacked with stability in mind, each one aligned to guide the flow downward. A small pump circulates the water back to the top, keeping the melody endless. The beauty of this project lies in its adaptability. It can be as tall as a staircase or as modest as 3 simple tiers, yet it always brings calm. The jars need not match. Their differences only deepen the charm, each telling its own story as part of the whole. What makes this design so memorable is the way it transforms the garden's atmosphere. The gentle sound of water slows your breath, reminding you to linger. Guests will be drawn to it, perhaps resting nearby, surprised by the serenity such a simple arrangement can bring. Children may dip their fingers into the lower jar, fascinated by the cycle of water that never ends. And for you, the maker, it becomes a quiet reminder. Beauty is not only in flow, but in patience, in the gentle descent of one moment into the next. The terracotta jar water terrace teaches us something beyond design. It whispers that every drop has a place, every step a purpose. And in its endless cascade, it reminds us that transformation does not need to rush. Sometimes the most powerful beauty comes softly, one jar at a time. Some corners of the garden invite attention quietly yet insistently. A simple wooden crate, weathered by sun and rain, can become a vessel of vibrancy when filled with a dwarf butterfly bush. It embodies the spirit of Amati, Tiru, Modificasi. Observe how ordinary objects can carry life. Imitate the pairing of crate and shrub, and then modify it to create your own living vignette. Imagine a backyard corner where a wooden crate sits on gravel, its rough-hewn surface softened by time and moss. From its soil rises a butterfly bush, its silver-green leaves a subtle backdrop to clusters of purple blooms. In the morning light, butterflies drift from flower to flower, delicate wings painted by nature, moving in slow choreography. The crate frames the bush perfectly, offering structure while letting the plant's elegance shine. The charm of this design lies in its approachability. Crates are abundant, inexpensive, and sturdy. They can be stacked for height, lined with plastic or burlap for soil retention, and painted or left natural to suit any aesthetic. The butterfly bush, with its rich hue and flowing form, thrives in full sun and well-draining soil, attracting pollinators and filling the air with soft movement. Practical care is simple yet essential. Water moderately, allowing the soil to dry between watering, and prune lightly to maintain shape and encourage blooms. Gravel or small stones around the base enhance drainage and prevent weeds. Position the crate where it can be admired from multiple angles, perhaps near a pathway or seating area, so the movement of butterflies and flowers becomes part of the daily experience. Beyond practicality, this planter carries poetry. The weathered wood tells of resilience and history, while the butterfly bush introduces life, motion, and color. It reminds us that beauty does not require perfection or grandeur. Sometimes it thrives in humility and authenticity. Observing the delicate dance of butterflies among blooms framed by rustic wood evokes calm and connection, creating a scene both dynamic and serene. In the rustic crate butterfly bush planter, small interventions transform everyday objects into living art. The garden, once ordinary, becomes a tableau of motion, color, and sensory delight. It invites presence, observation, and gentle joy, showing that even the humblest materials can carry grace and life. Sometimes the most magical elements in a garden are the ones barely seen. Picture walking along a rustic path where something subtle catches your attention. Beneath a wooden or stone grate, silver light flickers. Lean closer and you realize water is moving quietly underfoot. It does not roar or spill like a fountain. Instead, it whispers, threading its way through the soil like a secret vein. Herbs planted along the edges lean toward it, their fragrance deepened by the constant coolness. By day, the shimmer beneath the grate is easy to miss, revealed only when sunlight strikes at the right angle. By night, lanterns nearby awaken the feature, turning the narrow channel into a ribbon of light winding softly under your steps. The beauty lies in its subtlety. It does not demand attention, but rewards those who pause long enough to notice. Building this hidden stream is less complicated than it appears. A length of PVC pipe forms the foundation, carrying water gently beneath the path. Narrow slats or grates above allow glimpses of movement, teasing the eye to look closer. The water recycles with a small pump, ensuring the song never ends. Around it, herbs such as mint, thyme, or lemon balm thrive, enjoying the moisture and offering their perfume each time you brush past. What makes this feature unique is the way it shifts perspective. Unlike fountains or ponds, it hides more than it shows. Guests may step across it without realizing what lies beneath, only to pause later when they catch a glimmer. Children will crouch down, curious, listening for the stream's gentle voice. And you, each time you pass, may feel a sense of quiet delight, knowing that your garden holds a secret it shares only with those who take the time to see. This design reminds us that beauty need not always be bold. Sometimes it lives in whispers, in the shimmer of hidden water, in the hush beneath our steps. The hidden PVC stream is more than a feature. It is an invitation to slow down, to listen, to notice. Teaches that not all wonders are meant to shout. Some are meant to breathe softly, like water moving under the earth, carrying quiet magic through the heart of a garden. There is a special kind of poetry in fragments. Imagine a small garden niche-lined with broken mirror shards. By day, sunlight strikes their uneven faces, scattering tiny glints across the leaves and paths. The reflections move with the breeze, so that the garden seems alive with jewels, each shard catching a different piece of sky. What once reflected a bathroom wall or a dresser now transforms into a canvas of light, painting with no brush but the sun. At dusk, when lanterns flicker nearby, the mirrors multiply their glow. One flame becomes dozens, each shard catching and bending it until the whole niche shimmers like a constellation. Step closer, and you will see more than light. You will see yourself, fractured yet beautiful, mingled with ivy and stone. The garden does not hide brokenness. It honors it, showing that even in pieces, we can shine. Creating this backdrop begins simply. Gather shards of old mirrors, handling them with care. Arrange them within a frame or embed them into mortar along a wall niche. The irregular shapes are not flaws but features, each angle designed to capture light differently. Surround the niche with plants, ivy to climb the edges, moss to soften the base, so that glass and greenery embrace one another. In time, the niche feels less like an addition and more like something the garden had been waiting for all along. The magic of this design is its unpredictability. No two moments are the same. Morning light scatters differently than evening glow. Clouds shifting overhead change the entire mood of the wall. Guests may pause, captivated, tracing the reflections as they dance. Children may laugh, chasing the glints across the ground. And you, standing there at twilight, may feel a quiet recognition that the garden is not only a place of growth, but also a place of reflection. The broken mirror backdrop is more than decoration. It is metaphor made visible. It whispers that imperfection does not diminish beauty. It creates it, that in scattering, we become radiant in ways we never expected. In the heart of your garden, the mirrors remind you daily. Even broken things can hold the light, and in doing so, they can illuminate everything around them. Some corners of a garden are not meant for work or display, but for pause. Imagine a bench crafted from discarded pallets. Its rough wood softened by a coat of whitewash. At first, it is simple, almost humble. But above it, a pergola cap holds a cascade of bougainvillea, magenta blossoms tumbling downward like a curtain of color. Each petal that drifts onto the bench feels like a quiet invitation to sit, to linger, to let the world slow. By day, sunlight filters through the canopy, painting shifting lace patterns across the wood. The fragrance of the blooms mixes with the warmth of the air, turning a simple seat into a sanctuary. By evening, when lanterns glow nearby, the flowers ignite into stars, their vivid hues glowing even in the soft dark. The bench is no longer just a place to rest. It is a stage where stillness becomes extraordinary. The making of such a bench is accessible to anyone with willing hands. Old pallets, often overlooked, often left to decay, are sanded, painted, and fastened into shape. The design is simple, sturdy, forgiving of imperfection. Above it, even a small pergola frame can carry bougainvillea vines, which, with patience, climb and cascade. Over time, the bench transforms. What began as utility becomes elegance, softened by nature's hand. Guests who discover this corner will be reluctant to leave. They may sit quietly, tracing the blossoms that fall across their lap. Friends may gather here, conversations slowing, laughter softened by the flowers overhead. Children may chase petals drifting to the ground, as if the blooms themselves were tiny blessings. And you, each time you sit there, will feel a quiet reward, not only of comfort, but of creation. Knowing that you built a place where time bends gently, where ordinary wood and flower become extraordinary together. The bougainvillea-crowned pallet bench is not merely furniture. It is an atmosphere. It proves that beauty does not require perfection or wealth, only imagination, patience, and care. And in every petal that lands upon the bench, you are reminded. Rest itself can be art, and sometimes the most meaningful spaces are built not from what we buy, but from what we rescue, reshape, and let bloom. Beneath your feet, the garden becomes a story told in fragments. Imagine stepping onto a patio not paved with uniform tiles, but with mismatched pieces of stone. Offcuts once discarded, edges jagged, colors uneven. Laid side by side, they resemble a woven carpet rolled onto the earth, each shard a thread, each seam a stitch. From a distance, the patio unfolds like a tapestry. Up close, you can see the history etched into every piece. A crack, a vein, a hue that speaks of places the stone once belonged. By morning, dew clings to the surface, making the mosaic glisten like glass. At midday, sunlight warms the stones, their colors deepening into rich russet, gray, and cream. By evening, lanterns spill soft light across them, turning the ground into an aged fresco glowing underfoot. Around the edges, terracotta pots brim with rosemary and thyme, their fragrance weaving into the stones as if scent were part of the design itself. The beauty of a stone offcut patio lies not in perfection but in patience. Each piece is different, refusing to fit neatly, yet together they create harmony. Building it is an act of quiet artistry. Collect fragments from construction sites, leftover slabs, or broken tiles. Clean them, then lay them in the soil or mortar, letting their irregularity guide your design. There is no single pattern, only the slow joy of arrangement, where every stone finds its place in the whole. Guests who walk upon it will pause, perhaps bending down to touch the surface, surprised by the elegance that emerges from fragments. Children may play along its seams, tracing lines like roads on a map. And you, each time you step across it, will feel grounded not only by stone but by the reminder that beauty is often assembled from what others overlook. This patio does more than provide a place to sit. It creates atmosphere. It teaches that broken pieces, when gathered with intention, can become something lasting and beautiful. The mosaic underfoot becomes both a floor and a philosophy. That no fragment is wasted, that harmony can emerge from difference, and that in the garden, as in life, the imperfect can be laid together to create something whole. Iron ages with dignity. Where others see rust, a gardener sees history. Patterns etched by rain and sun, memory recorded in color. Imagine a pergola rising in the heart of a garden, its frame forged from iron once abandoned. The beams glow deep orange and brown, textured by time. By day, the structure stands raw and honest, recalling the skeleton of old factories or wagons left in the rain. But as twilight falls, everything changes. Curtain strands of light descend from the beams, shimmering like a waterfall of stars. The pergola softens, glowing as though it were cradling a constellation. The contrast is breathtaking. Harsh iron, marked by decay, becomes a stage for grace. The vines that climb its sides add another layer of transformation, weaving living green into rusted strength. Roses or jasmine spill their fragrance, mingling with the warm glow of lights. Beneath this canopy, the world feels slower, meals linger longer, conversations deepen, and silence feels like a gift. Even the most modest evening turns into a quiet celebration when framed by light and time. Creating such a pergola begins with what many would overlook. Old iron beams can be salvaged, cleaned just enough to remove weakness but left with their weathered skin intact. Their strength is unmatched, their surface already carrying character. A simple frame becomes majestic when vines are encouraged to climb and curtain lights are draped along the beams. The installation is straightforward, but the effect is timeless. Guests who gather beneath it will feel as though they've stepped into a hidden festival. Children may gaze upward, mesmerized by the strands of light. Friends may lean back, their laughter softened by the glow. And you, each time you sit beneath it, will feel the balance it embodies. Strength tempered by grace, age renewed by illumination. The rusted iron pergola with light canopy is more than a garden structure. It is a story written in metal, vine, and flame, proves that time does not always erode, it can refine. That beauty can emerge from surfaces marked by years, especially when touched by light. To sit beneath it is to feel history and hope woven together, glowing softly in the night. Every object carries a story, and some stories can be retold in new forms. Imagine a stack of wooden wine crates, once filled with bottles of red harvests and evenings of celebration. Now, instead of resting in a cellar, they rise in the garden as steps of fragrance and green. Each tier brims with herbs, rosemary stretching tall, thyme weaving low, basil glowing with bright leaves, and lavender softening everything with its purple bloom. The faded lettering stamped on the crates whispers of vineyards long past, but the life spilling from them speaks of abundance here and now. By day, the sun warms the wood, releasing the scent of herbs into the air. By evening, when lanterns glow nearby, the crates seem to carry both history and hope, as if laughter from old cellars had found its way into the fragrance of leaves. The design is simple yet layered, a staircase of green that invites both the eye and the hand to wander. Building this feature is wonderfully approachable. Old wine crates or any sturdy wooden boxes can be stacked into steps, anchored with soil or stones for stability. Fill each with rich soil, then tuck in herbs that thrive with minimal care. Over time, the crates weather further, their wood softening into deeper tones, blending seamlessly with the plants. The beauty of this project lies not in perfection but in the way nature and memory collaborate. The rustic lines of the crates meet the freshness of new growth, turning utility into charm. Guests will be drawn to it instantly. They may bend down to brush their fingers across time, releasing fragrance into the evening air. Children might climb the steps carefully, fascinated that boxes once used for wine now cradle life. And you, each time you harvest a sprig of basil or rosemary for the kitchen, will feel connected not only to the garden, but also to the cycle of reinvention, that nothing truly ends, it only changes shape. The wine crate herb garden is more than a vertical planter. It is a story of transformation, a reminder that what once marked by vineyards can now carry flavors into your meals and fragrance into your evenings. A design that proves beauty and usefulness can live side by side, in crates that hold not wine anymore, but the quiet luxury of living green. As we come to the end of this journey, let us pause together in the gentle stillness of the garden. We have wandered through corners where broken things found new purpose, where simple scraps became features that breathe with quiet elegance. Each design was more than an object. It was a reminder that creativity begins not with what we purchase, but with the way we see the world around us. A bottle, a shard, a piece of weathered wood, all of these carry hidden stories, waiting for a hand to guide them into beauty. Here at TERAFLORA Studio, our hope is to bring you inspiration that feels both grounding and uplifting. We want these stories to calm your mind and open your imagination, offering ideas that are not distant or unreachable, but close at hand. Every garden, no matter how small, holds the possibility of transformation. Every choice to create is also a choice to care, for the earth, for your space, and for yourself. Before we part, we gently remind you that the content you have heard today was crafted with the assistance of AI, a tool that helps us shape words and ideas into flowing narratives. Yet the heart of every project remains yours to bring alive. It is your hands, your time, your love that turn these visions into real places of comfort and wonder. If this journey has given you peace, or sparked even a single idea for your own home, we invite you to stay with us. Subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio, and let us walk together through many more paths of creativity. Until we meet again, may your days be filled with light, warmth, and the quiet joy of making beauty where you stand.